countdown. Are we recording? Good to see you, Veronica.
You too.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call this special called meeting, the Bee County Commissioners Court, to order. Today is Monday, October 23, 2023. The time is 9:02 a.m. We are physically located at the Bee County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom, number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas, 78102. Would everybody please stand and join Commissioner DeWitt in a prayer. Thank you, Commissioner.
Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you for life, Lord. Thank you for putting us on the earth. Guide us, direct us. Help us make the right decisions for the constituents of Bee County and for the health and safety of everyone. Please, Lord, hold your hand over the world. We need some help right now. There's things going on that need to be calmed down. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas Pledge. Honor
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I wonder if we're doing it right. We take a pause after state and before under God, but there's no comment on that one. I wonder if we should be saying one state under God or one state under God. Yeah. We're going to do our best to correct that. It's no disrespect intended to the state. What's that?
That was that same question in the American Court as well. One state under God and one state under God.
We're going to get that. Yeah, we may. It's not on the agenda, but maybe on a future agenda, I might consider a committee to get together.
We're not a bad idea.
Doing things the right way. We're on agenda item number. I'm sorry. This will get a little bit smoother the longer that we get into the process. This is agenda item number 4, recognition of visitors. I do know we have some visitors here this morning. Thank you all for being here. There's no compunction that you identify yourself. This isn't public comment. But if you'd like to identify yourself for the record, you may do so at this time. Hearing none, thank you all for being here, and we'll move on. Agenda item number 5, Commissioners Court, opening remarks. Commissioner Olivares, I believe you're first this year.
Good, yeah, thank you, Judge. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to recognize our EOC scoring team. We're starting to review and work towards an award process for the best selection of an overall contractor. So it's pretty good. And then on that team, we have facilitating the team effort is Jennifer Reyna, Ben Ramirez, Ryan Garza, and Rob Reyes. So thanks for everyone for coming together, and pretty exciting. I'll cover a little bit more here in just a little bit more. Also, I'd like to recognize Ronnie Olivares, our constable, for handling some illegal dumping in Skidmore here this past weekend. Also, I'd like to recognize Ryan Garza for responding to a large grass fire yesterday over the weekend. You know, it's also great to see the partnership that we have between the county and the city with the fire departments. It really makes me feel good that in need of help and support, everyone comes together. And I'd also like to recognize Commissioner DeWitt again for sharing our safety tip of the month a couple of months ago about if your dog gets sprayed by a skunk, what to do. Well, last night in the middle of the game, mine got sprayed and it wasn't pretty. So, but it worked.
Did it work?
It worked.
Absolutely.
It really worked. He was able to sleep inside last night, so
Good deal.
so he was happy. But also, on a serious note, I'd like to thank Commissioner DeWitt. He's got a real important meeting set up for this coming Friday with Real to talk about what could we possibly do with the jail and different various properties within the county. So thanks for setting it up. I know you've been working on it quite some time. So I appreciate that coordinating effort. So appreciate that. Just some general information. We had some good participation on the rebidding of our ESC building. We have 5 potential contractors. It should note that the bids were all very competitive. Bids were opened last week. The 5 people that bid it was K&T out of Victoria, South Texas Building out of Corpus, North Star Elite out of Spring Branch, Victory out of Corpus Christi, and MRI Buildings out of Thorndale, Texas. So looking forward to the outcome of that. Very pleased on the numbers that we saw. So things are looking good. Still got a little bit more work to do in that process. Also, on the IT building, I had an opportunity to attend a meeting that was facilitated by Commissioner Faitas on the IT modifications. For me, it was a little bit exciting to see that all these contractors and subcontractors participated in a meeting and the willingness to ensure that we were going to have a successful project. So it was good. There was a lot of energy in the room and a lot of willingness to work over the weekend and a lot of partnership coming together. So it was good. So thank you for the invite. Also, again, trying to understand the overall process of the appraisal district, which on the surface may seem elementary, but as you start digging into it, there's a little bit more to the process. So I have a meeting set up this week with the appraisal district, Troy Draper, to better understand the ag exemption process. So that's a new piece for me, since I don't own any livestock, but I want to understand it so that when people come to me, I'm able to at least give them an educated answer. One, I guess, note of interest that would be great for the board members, myself included, if some of the board members could address the court to kind of review what their roles and responsibilities are around this overall process, how to get involved with this. Plus to know who they are, because I know elections are coming up. I think it would be good to at least hear who they are and what they bring to the table. So just a point of interest. Had several calls from constituents concerned about grass, trash, trees, and driveways. So we got getting all those addressed thanks to Jesse with our road and bridge administrator. Barnhart mentoring. I attended planning for good success in life. It was for me very encouraging, very enlightening to see at least they have somewhat of a game plan. Hopefully I can foster some additional enhancements on helping them set goals and put timelines to their goals. So it was really good, really refreshing to see that our schools are putting together a pretty good effort to get these kids to the next level. So pretty good. Kind of several things that are happening in the community. The Coastal Bend Crime Stoppers is going to be holding a fundraiser on November 9th in Skidmore from 11 to 2. They're going to be serving some pulled pork, sandwiches, some chips, and a drink for $8. So great event. They're doing a great job, so we'd appreciate the support. Also, Halloween is coming up here very shortly. Skidmore Fire Department, the Immaculate Conception Church, and other churches are going to be hosting trunk or treat, so they'll be giving out a lot of candy. And then also on November 11th, I'm sure we'll probably be meeting before then, the Skidmore Immaculate Conception Church will be hosting a free lunch, free dinner on November 11th for those that need of a Thanksgiving dinner. So that's a good one. And just to reiterate, we had an exciting day here last week. Myself and several of the other commissioners were able to witness the offloading of our new chip spreader. So pretty exciting. It's bright and shiny. I almost hate to put it to work because it's so shiny, but it's going to be a great tool to help us in the community. So with that, I'd like to submit the rest of my time and submit it to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Farias?
Pretty busy week last week. The first meeting that was very exciting was the meeting in Blanconia. I got to meet with some of the folks from Lynn Steel. They were going to demolish the old Blanconia Fire Department, and it's since Hurricane Harvey, so this has been sitting there for a while. My understanding is that I talked to some of the folks there, the fire chief and everybody else, and they've already received 75% of the monies until it's complete, and then they'll get the other 25%. But demolition will begin the first week of November, and after they demo it and lay the concrete pads out and everything else, they said it shouldn't take long at all. It's a pretty cookie cutter kind of box and doors and everything else. So that was pretty exciting there. They will have a fundraiser on November the 4th. That's their annual fundraiser out there in Blanconia. So if anybody has an opportunity to go out there and get a barbecue plate and to support the fire department, that's when they put it on November the 4th every year, the opening day of deer season for them up there. So that's how they put on a big spread out there. The other one was the pre-construction meeting we had and for the IT build-out, and with Mr. Mercer, of course, was leading the charge there. And we had Jennifer Reyna there, Christina Cano, thank you very much for both of them. And we had Adaptive, and then all their contractors and subcontractors were there. We had the room packed. So they had a list, they went down the list, item by item, and we were trying to get all the items narrowed down and ironed out and everything else. And then we had Mr. Jody Poth, the city inspector. I want to thank him for showing up out there. He got there a little bit late. And then Johnny Gutierrez from AEP, he showed up there right afterwards when we were doing the outside part and kind of gave us a little insight. And then I think we're waiting on the electrical load from Mr. Mercer. I don't know whether you have that yet or not. No, don't have it yet. Okay, so there were some concerns about the box there and then the load it's going to handle. So we have an item on the agenda later on for that. But yes, everybody was real excited. There's a website that we'll be able to get on to see their pictures and their completions and how the progress is moving. So that's going to be, we can get on there, judge, you can get on there and they'll sign you in and you can see what the progress is. So that's pretty good. Ms. Cano was working on the temporary pole for the contractors. Thank Christina Cano for all that work. And then, let's see, working on the chip spreader. We asked Mr. Arredondo to please put that under cover. That's a expensive and big piece of equipment, so he said they already got arrangements to keep that thing under cover. And then we'll bring up later on the transport to North and South Bee County to see if we can get it on a float instead of driving it down the road for safety and to make it last as long as we can. So that's what we worked on. And with that, I have Commissioners Court leadership this week for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I'll be out for 2.5 days, but I'll be available by phone. And with that, I'll pass to Commissioner Duguay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I have several things this morning. I'm going to need a little extra time if I could, Judge.
What, you can take
yeah,
Commissioner.
appreciate it.
Take Commissioner for the assist.
There you
I'm
go.
sure Commissioner Lenny doesn't have much to say, so you take all the time you need.
I want to remind everybody, early voting starts today. Very important you get out there and vote. There's several constitutional amendments. One of them, and I'll go into it in detail in just a minute, is for the $100,000 homestead exemption. Bee County jumped out there and said, we're going to go ahead and put it on this tax roll. We're almost 99% positive it's going to pass, but it's important we get out and vote for it to make sure it does pass. Because if it doesn't pass, you'll get another letter that says, hey, you owe us this money back. So let's get out there and vote. Early voting across the street this morning, it starts. So let's get out and early vote. Now let's talk about taxes. They were mailed out last Thursday. I got mine Saturday. And this is one of those few times I was anxiously anticipating getting my taxes, because I wanted to see how much this $100,000 made, how much difference it was. And the word that I had gotten from the tax assessor, it would be dramatic. It was dramatic. It was enough you could see it. And the discounts are on the taxes. But there's something else that happened, and I have to appreciate this Commissioner's Court and some of the decisions we made and some of the decisions we didn't make as far as these wind companies and all. We didn't give them allocations. And on the back of your tax sheet, on the back of that pink sheet, there's a whole bunch of little bitty details. I want you to look at that, because I'm going to go over some of it right now, and I want to tell you what this court has done this year. If we go back to 2018, the tax rate was 0.666 cents per hundred. Okay? 2019, 0.6733. 2020, and that's, you're paying that on every $100 that they're taxing. 2020, 0.6912. 2021, 0.7245. That's high. 2022, 0.5889. Started going down.
I'm really glad you started going down. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like the interest rates here.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt.
this tax rate, the one that we're paying taxes on right now, drum roll, there you go, 0.48281.
Bingo.
Now, that's substantial. It really is. And I have to appreciate some of the decisions that this court has made as far as the wind generators and other things where we did not give them abatements. And that's kicking in. It's beginning to kick in and it's paying off for all of us. We have another big deal coming up next year when the solar panels, 1 million solar panels will be on the tax rolls. That will also help us. So when you look at your taxes, take them and compare them to what you paid last year. And none of us like to pay taxes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in favor of paying taxes either. But we need those taxes for health and safety, for the sheriff's office, for the courthouse, staff. It's necessary. We have to do it to live in a civilized society. But to see it go from, well, yeah, like we're all saying, 0.724 to 0.48, that's a lot. It really is. So I want y'all to please look on the back of that sheet and look at those numbers. They're substantial. I was lucky enough, along with Commissioner Farias, we got to judge some chalk art here for mental health the other day. And one in particular was so outstanding. We took pictures of it. I sent a picture to the newspaper. I don't know whether they'll run it or not. But it was pretty amazing what these people could do in just an hour or two with a big bucket of chalk that was about 1.5 inches around, 2 inches around. And one of them was absolutely beautiful. It was, the symmetry, it was perfect. And we had one, what was the youngest one, 5, 3?
About 3 years old.
3 years old. And they only one entry, so they won. And it was interesting what they did with their square. But it was a great event, a lot of people there, a lot of vendors. There was a lot going on. The Texas Mile was going on the same weekend. There were all kind of things going on downtown, but it was real good. Attended a Council of Governments executive meeting in Corpus, and thanks to Commissioner Oliveris talking about the meeting we're going to have with Real Friday, I spent quite a bit of time in the appraisal office going over the deeds and one thing or another on who owned what, and I've got it here and I'll hand it out Friday unless y'all want it now. We have 4 pieces of property that we're going to look at. One of them is on Jackson Street where it comes down into Highway 59. It's about 2 acres. There's another one immediately behind HEB that I didn't even know we owned, that our maintenance supervisor said, hey, we're having to mow it all the time, you might want to look at it. Okay, I thought it was a part behind the new apartments. There's about 8 or 9 acres there. It turns out that belongs to the city of Beeville, and I'm not sure they knew they owned it, but I took the information by and left it for the city manager. It's where the old Bee Community Action Agency had some of their facilities. It's cleaned off. They have to mow it too, and it's a nice piece of property. But the property we own is on Buchanan Street. It's 6 lots, and we're mowing it on a regular basis. And why we have it, I don't know. It never has had anything on it for the county. I don't think it had anything for BCAA. What I'm leading up to, once we finish with Real, we may want to take a look as a commissioner's court of getting rid of these 2 pieces of property, put them on the market. Because we're not using them and we're having to mow them all the time. The other 2 pieces that we're going to talk to them about is where the old juvenile and adult probation office was, and where the old sheriff's office and jail were. We're going to meet with them Friday at 10 o'clock. They want to look at it. I videoed the one on Jackson Street and sent to them. The goal was to take them to that one first and the one behind it. That's what they're looking at. So we'll take a look at that Friday, and if something comes out of it, we'll bring it back to the court and we'll take, as they say in government, we'll take appropriate action. With that, sir, I will pass to my commissioner to the right.
All right. I attended the Chalk for Mental Awareness this past Saturday. I was up here from 6:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the afternoon. It was an extremely long day, but just helping them set up and whatnot. It was a good turnout. I think there was more people this year than there was last year.
It was a good turnout.
It was a really good turnout. Yeah. I don't know if there's quite as many chalkings that were done as last year, but people-wise that showed up, it was a lot more. So that's good. Also, we had some illegal dumping out on Gill Ranch Road on the infamous 90-degree curve, and someone had actually gone out there and just dumped looked like a truckload of stuff throughout the entire curve. And it's amazing what Facebook does. We put it on Facebook, and it wasn't probably 30 minutes. A lady contacted us and said, well, that was my knucklehead kid that did that. Turned their own kid in. So we got a hold of him and found out who it was and who he did it for, and had them come out that afternoon and clean up that entire curb, whether it was their trash or not. I want the entire curb cleaned up, and then appropriate action was taken beyond that point. So I want to thank Robbie for helping me with that. Also attended a Pick a Cluster career at H.C. Jones High School. There was a lot of kids that stopped by, and talked to them about what I do and my role as a commissioner. And next to my table, Robbie had a table set up for the environmental stuff, and a lot of kids. It's funny, you have kids will stop by your table and, well, what do you do? And you start talking to them, and they act like, well, okay, and they go on. But a lot of these kids were really tuned in and focused as to listening what it is that we do. And I know, talking to Robbie, there's a lot of those booths that are set up. People are giving out a lot of little trinkets and pens and pencils and whatnot. And those kids, they take a lot of that stuff. And I told Robbie, you need to get some of that stuff, because he attends those things a little more frequently than I do. And those kids, they take interest in all that stuff. So that was a good turnout. Also, I spoke to Vicente at TxDOT. I've talked to him several times before, and I know they've gone and done some things there at the four-way intersection by the old John Deere. He told me that it actually is on the schedule starting tomorrow. They're going to go in, they're going to shave that portion of highway and repave it and seal coat it, and that's supposed to schedule to start tomorrow. So hopefully that'll get taken care of. It's like a washboard going over it. And then I had a handful of just miscellaneous calls involving general questions to do with trash, the dump sites, where they're at, days that they're open, times, whatnot, some culvert questions. Had a lady reach out about how bad it looks across from Walmart, just different things, people calling, whatnot. Want to thank Road and Bridge for picking up the brush in Blueberry Hill. The people out there, they greatly appreciate that, as well as I do. With that, we'll pass back to Judge.
That's wonderful. Thank you all for those comments and for all of your hard work on behalf of B County. We're going to move on and get into this agenda. We've got some exciting things on it today, and know when we're done, I hope that we'll have some good guidance and future opportunity for the community. That's very exciting. Moving on to agenda item number 6, public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? I know I have Mr. Dominguez is going to, Commissioner Farias asked Mr. Dominguez to come in and talk to us for a few minutes. Frank, if you want to take the floor, identify yourself in your new role.
Sure.
Looking forward to hearing from you, sir.
Well, thank you, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for your time, and everyone in attendance and staff. My name is Frank Dominguez. I'm the Executive Director for the Bee Development Authority. Actually, today is my first day officially as a full-time on the job, so thank you for your time. I've helped out on an interim basis, kind of as needed, until the role was filled and we felt it was a good fit moving forward. After going through the interview process and those types of things. With my past involvement as mayor and city councilman, I felt I could help leverage the Bee Development Authority when needed to, work with other entities in town and with the commissioner's support as well. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Bee Development Authority, we operate the formal naval base, former defense base that was originally deeded over to the city of Beeville, and in the city of Beeville with other, other folks with the foresight to create the Bee Development Authority and the board. It's an 11-member board that governs, has 4 positions and seats. Commissioner Farias fills the required commissioner seat that's required as per the bylaws, and then we also have 3 other members that the county has appointed. In case you're not familiar with those, it's Pete Patel, Garrett Tyndall, and Jody Alanis. So those are the 4 board out of the 11 that the county has appointed. So just a little bit what's going on out there. I heard the Texas Mile was mentioned earlier. It was a very successful event. It was the 20th anniversary. And speaking with the organizer, Shannon, she said they had over 1,000 runs over the weekend, very successful. I went out there for a little while and very well attended. So it's a very successful event. They also had a big dinner at the Hughes Hangar as well. And they're very pleased with the outcome there. So we also have, as I just mentioned, the Hughes Hangar, that's a tenant out there as well. We have an active runway that's still there. We do have a couple inactive runways, which like the Texas Mile uses, the crosswinds runway and things like that. We have approximately between 1,800 and 1,900 acres. I say approximately because there's easements and other types of things like that that kind of take away from being able to fully utilize the optimal 1,900 acres that we have out there. We have Trigga that occupies 2 warehouses, 2 hangars and a warehouse. Trigga is a subsidiary of NAFCO from the Dubai company that we solicited to come here and successfully were able to get them as a tenant. They are currently in one of the hangars. They're starting to do some ambulances and emergency vehicles. And then the other big hangar, they've now brought in from Turkey some HDPE pipeline lines. So they've got they're working with the Turkey engineers to get that online, and they're going to be doing anything from like 2-inch up to 24-inch HDPE pipe. So they already have other pipes out there that they're distributing as well that they've brought in, but they're very close here and have hired quite a few folks from the Beeville community. So Trigga's been taken off. They had to go through COVID and all the supply chain issues as well. So they're finally able to get some traction there. We also have the new building that was built, Neo Industries. One of their biggest clients is SDI, Steel Dynamics, out of Sinton. So I was speaking with Mark Childers, who's their manager, and he's hoping here within the next couple of weeks they'll be starting some production. And they've also hired local employees and are continuing to grow as they would go as well. We also have the Texas Forestry out there, and they help with firefighting and have those resources as well. Let's see, we also have a couple of other racing events. We have SCCA, and then we also have Race 1000. They're a Germany-based operation that comes out here as well to kind of use our runways, and we'd also get some revenue from that as well. We also have, hay baling and contracts out there. We have a ranch that was acquired right next to us. We also have there's some leasing going on there. We also have the water wells from the city of Beeville that were put out there, and that, currently it's putting, I think, up to about 30% of our needs that we're able to divert our dependence from Lake Corpus Christi. So there is now a chance, hopefully in the future, where we could have some more production out of those wells. There will have to be some infrastructure improvements that will be able to carry that increased capacity, because with the more pressure, there are older lines out there. So, I've had some discussions with city manager about that as well. Of course, there'll be an expense associated with that. So there's some potential for more water coming from those wells and decrease our dependence with Lake Corpus Christi, and the increased rates. The rates are significantly lower, maybe about 1/3 or 1/4 of the cost from the Lake Corpus Christi to get that water here. So that's kind of a quick nutshell of what we do. We do have some staff out there, maintenance staff and an executive assistant as well. And then we meet the second Monday of every month, unless there's special meetings and things like that, or holidays. But it's also similar to this, it's an Open Meetings Act that we follow there as well. And we'll have our postings for our meetings. Any questions?
Not really, because it's public comment.
Public comment.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah,
Frank, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, congratulations on the new post.
Thank you.
And for the summary as well. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make public comment at this point in time? Okay, moving on, agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioner's Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Move to approve. I had a few comments on the agendas, and I gave them to the clerk.
Excellent. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, do you have any comments that you wanted to
No, sir.
put on the record? Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Excuse me. Moving on, discuss and consider action on the following items. I like that. This is different, right? This is harder for me to mess up. Agenda item number 8, approve project management agreement between the Nueces River Authority and B County regarding the Texas General Land Office allocation of community development block grant mitigation funds for the Resilient Communities Program. Commissioner DeWitt, I know this is something that you've been shepherding to some degree. I don't know if I should be, I'm not trying to
That's right.
yoke you with it.
I've got some notes.
Okay, great, and then
I'll make a motion to approve with some comments.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you have the floor.
Just some things to look at in this one. This is just one of those that we're working on. I noticed on page 8A that there's a payment of $32,499.87 from grant money to them. Is that something, Madam Auditor, that we, at least we're aware of it, that if it comes up, we have to pay them that money?
I had discussions with them.
Okay, so that's all taken care of.
Well,
No.
we're going to have to amend the motion in a second, if the will of the court is, but I'll keep going.
Okay. And then, when you get back into the meat of this, the recommended list of flood mitigation projects, a lot of them are the city of Beeville, but when you get down to the Silver Creek Bridge, I think that's in your,
GLO.
well, the Nueces River is also working on it, and the amount of $47,000, whatever that is. It's mitigation action, build a 28-foot wide, 100-foot long bridge. And then there's another one, countywide drainage master plan study, $500,000. I remember that one coming before the court, and they talked to us about it. But nearly everything was Beeville. Then there's a B County emergency warning system for $250,000. Coastal bed mitigation action, emergency warning, and public information system. So just to put on the record what it is we're talking
Yes,
about,
sir.
Judge. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Like I mentioned, and I apologize, I probably should have talked to you about this
That's
before,
okay.
but I read this contract on Friday and had a few concerns about it. But I spoke with the gentleman at our counterparts at the Nueces River Authority. Everybody's intent is on the same page. It's just the contract itself with respect to the payment provisions aren't as clear as I feel comfortable with, because there's no what happens if the grant isn't awarded. There's no exceptions to the payment provisions.
That's what I saw too, sir.
Yes, sir. And I think really, it's interesting because I read that same litany of projects that they were identifying, but really what this initial grant is for is a updated floodplain map, updated building code, and there's another general countywide plan that they're going to work for. I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's the 249. I think it's the total contract value is 200 and is it
249, 999.87.
That is what Nueces River Authority, in looking at these plan needs, that's what they believe that the grant will be awarded for. It's up to $300,000 for every county in the state. And am I on the right track here? Okay, good.
Okay.
So all I would ask you, Commissioner DeWitt, and you, Commissioner Olivetis, is to amend your second to allow me the flexibility to negotiate minor revisions with respect to providing some escape valves with respect to consideration if this whole because what's going to happen is Nueces River Authority is going to undertake all efforts to obtain the grant for us. And then once they obtain the grant, they have their team of engineers and specialists who are going to update our programs and our plans and work with us to do that. And we will pay them under the terms of the contract on a monthly basis until that $249,000 is paid back. I know that this is something that they've rolled out, the state has rolled out statewide. And the Oasis River Authority has about half a dozen other municipalities or counties that they're already working with. You know, not in the interest of making anybody super concerned about this, but Mrs. Cantu, do you have any
It has not
input
been
on this
procured.
at all?
It has not been procured, and whenever we go, we have an admin, the court knows this, that we have a procurement.
Mhm.
And so that means we put out a formal bid package, and we do an RFQ for qualifications from admins, and that was, this was just brought to.
And that's kind of the only.
So do we need to table this until we procure it?
To me, I mean, how.
We're
we
ahead of,
don't-
the cart's ahead of the
Right,
horse.
it's
I mean,
ahead of
the
the,
cart's ahead of the horse here,
exactly,
right?
for sure.
Unless because it's a governmental entity, somehow it's excused from our usual process.
Right.
And
Good catch.
we looked, I think we looked last week, and we didn't find that exception. That's the only other little wrinkle.
Judge,
It's a big wrinkle.
will this derail any of the GLO?
No, this has
it's
nothing to do
completely
with
unrelated
MIPMOD.
to the GLO.
MIPMOD is separate, and we've already
Those
done
projects are
procurement for
already-
MIPMOD.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Yeah, 'cause we've already
separate.
done that, that one's already in motion.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Yeah,
of course.
that's totally different.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And if y'all want, if the will of the court is to table it, I can spend, you know, the next week or so until we get to our next Commissioners Court meeting and see if,
Judge, I
what
would,
their position
I would
is.
feel more comfortable by withdrawing my motion and putting forth another motion. We table this for additional information.
Okay, we have Commissioner DeWitt has withdrawn his motion, Commissioner Olivares has withdrawn his second, Commissioner DeWitt.
That's all right. It doesn't matter what you call me.
Has made a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you all for that. I apologize again. I didn't
No,
mean to
that's
just
okay.
take it here like this, but that's just the way it all worked out. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 10, approve electric service upgrade at the tax office building from single phase to three phase. Commissioner Farias, this is your agenda item.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You forgot one?
I did. Well, we'll just move forward with 10. Thank you for reminding. I don't know why I wrote that down twice like that.
Judge, after we did the initial, I know Mr. Mercer had already taken off. AEP suggested that we upgrade our 200 amp service to a three-phase, which is there on the pole. Now, I know that Mr. Mercer's working on a load sheet, because we don't have that, those figures yet, correct?
Let the Commissioners Court understand, when we started designing the project, the electrical engineer that we subcontract to do the electrical looked at the service and assured me that the service was big enough. I'm having him go back, based on the comments that the AEP said.
Yeah, they were on site, so they said that.
I'm having the electrical engineer go back and reevaluate and make sure that it doesn't need to be. If it has to be upgraded, it's going to be a rather significant expense to get that done. If we don't need to do it, then if you upgrade it, you're probably going to have to change out. I think it was mentioned that we might need to increase the size of the generator, and I was assured that that wasn't going to be required, but I'm having the electrical engineer go back and verify. And I gave him the peak load, winter and summer loads.
Yes, Ms. Cano got us the two hottest and coldest months that are there, so they're reviewing that now. I just didn't want to get behind. If they're gonna start over there, and then we have to break into where they're digging, and that's my only reason for
Hopefully
putting
I'll
it
have an
here.
answer within the next day or two.
Okay.
We could go ahead and approve this and have it,
If needed.
if needed.
If needed.
Yeah.
That would be my
Okay.
recommendation, if you pass and say, if the engineer comes back and says, look, screwed up and it really, to be on the safe side, it ought to, then you'll have it approved and we can go ahead with it. But subject to that, that'd be my recommendation.
Well, after hearing from Mr. Mercer, then my motion is to upgrade it if it's needed, and we'll wait a couple of days to, and if it's not needed, we'll leave it as is. Second for the.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mercer.
Thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Go back to agenda item number 9 that I accidentally overlooked. Approval to set public hearing date pursuant to Texas Transportation Code, Chapter 251.152, entitled Public Hearing Required, and Chapter 251.154, entitled Maximum Reasonable and Prudent Speeds on County Roads, to consider setting a speed limit of 35 miles per hour on Ellis Road, south of Highway 59 in Beeville, Texas. Commissioner Farias, this is your agenda item.
Yes, and then that 35 miles an hour, we've driven it, it's pretty slow for that 4.5 mile stretch. So I would propose that we move that to at least 45 or 50 miles an hour. That's a long way to go, 35 miles an hour for the people that live at the end of that road. So that's one of the first things that I want to do. I've had numerous people that live out there, and they're saying that they're driving, they come out to their edge of their driveway before they get on the road, and people are coming 60, 70 miles an hour down that road to get to where they live. And they said there's no speed limit sign, so we need to put something out there to at least slow them down. Maybe not 35, but we need to consider a public hearing going to 45 or 50 miles an hour.
Our next,
Oh.
go ahead, Commissioner.
Correct me if I'm wrong, law enforcement, when there's not a speed limit posted on county roads, isn't it 45 or 50?
35.
No. If there's no speed limit posted, I think it's 45 or 50.
I thought it was 55.
I don't think it's that high, but there is anything above that, they give tickets to. But I'm just saying,
But-
be careful
right.
how we go.
Okay. I mean, they're just requesting that we put a sign up there so that people can realize that, hey, you need to slow down a little bit, because they're going extremely fast.
I know that out in the county, driving around, I know up in our part of the county, we've got 30s and 35s. I don't know, I wish Road and Bridge were here, I don't know of any 40 or 45 or 50s in the county. I really don't,
That low,
that high.
that high.
I don't.
Well, then we can leave it. I mean,
John,
this wording Candy found in previous road speed limits that we've done, so we just use the one that she found
Right.
straight.
Right, well, right now, we're just setting a public.
right, and that's what we normally do is 35. That's normal.
So we're just setting the hearing. for-
Right, I understand, I'm just
Yeah, no, I
information.
appreciate that.
You might want to check with the SO on if it's not posted, what is the maximum they'll allow? Because there is a number.
Okay.
Our next Commissioners Court hearing meeting is November 13th, 2020.
That won't meet the requirement for the 30 days, so we'd have to go all the way to December 11th.
December 11th.
9:30? Or what time do we set it? 10?
Why don't we do 10?
10
I
o'clock?
don't know, sometimes our Commissioners Court's updates can bite into that first half hour. so
Okay.
I don't want
Then-
to interrupt
Need
anybody.
to be a little more succinct. is that-
Pursuant to this code, I'd like to set the public hearing for December 11th at 10 a.m. and to review the speed limit for Ellis Road.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 11, approve emergency discretionary exemption pursuant to local government code section 262.024 for the Tyne Water emergency expenditure for grant matching funds. Commissioner Olivares, is this your agenda item?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Judge. So gentlemen, and Madam Auditor, the county and Tyne Water is required to pay matching funds of $50,000 before they could complete the contracted work. Unfortunately, when Grant Works contacted the Texas Department of Agriculture director regarding the hydrocyclones, because we thought we could use the hydrocyclones as part of a matching fund, and the labor and equipment that was going to be used by Tyne Water as matching funds was denied. They were not allowed to be used as a matching fund. So we have a little bit of issue. Sad part of which we would have understood this process probably a year ago when this whole process started, but I wasn't in seat then, and I think we just didn't know. We know now that it can't be used. Any event, just as a side note, any event that we were able to utilize some of the labor equipment That was going to be provided by Mr. Steve Cheney through his company and donated back. Could not be used because any equipment or labor that is that's being utilized by Town of Water has to be bidded out. So it has to go through a bid process. In addition to that, they have to, if the county was going to supply matching funds, they need to be an actual employee of that entity. So these are some new learnings for me. I think some new learnings for the county. So that being said, I'd like to have a little bit of a discussion. I've had a brief discussion with Madam Auditor, and we have potentially 2 areas that we could potentially secure the funding. One would be from our county money,
Fund balance.
emergency fund.
Yeah.
And then a second would be from the interest money earned from ARP. So could you help me out a little bit here, just to articulate a little bit more?
Yes, and so, so Tynan, is one of our MUD districts, and if we would have known this earlier, as far as what was not allowed to help with his matching funds, we would have, of course, approached the art committee to work this in. I do want to note that art monies have given out $241,000 to Skidmore Mud and $86,351 to Pettus Mud. Tynan has received $11,313 in art monies, still awaiting $7,500 to be paid out, which is a total of less than $20,000. So my thought is, we did this emergency discretionary budget amendment, but to me, our art monies, we have $230,000 in interest and a liability from our art monies that I feel would be allowable for this type of expense.
If I could, Madam Auditor, I always look for the good in everything. If we would have known about this a year and a half ago, we wouldn't have had that 200-some-odd thousand in interest. And that's what that's that SS money that I would, my recommendation personally is, we're on the art committee, is to use that money. That's part of what we would use it for.
Get them up and running.
And I hate to start doing budget amendments and that sort of thing when we have this sitting over here that we can use.
I agree.
And it is an emergency again.
Yes, I agree. And so how we would use that is I would pull it in, I would certify that into revenue, and then that would be the budget amendment instead of using fund
And
balance.
clean.
Okay, so with that being said, gentlemen, I'd like to make a motion that we utilize the ARP interest money to provide Town of Water with the necessary funds so that we can complete the project.
I'll second it. You got it.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? The language of the motion is sufficient because this will be a budget amendment.
It will be a budget amendment. We just don't have to tap into that emergency discretionary. I mean, as far as the wording, I don't know if it quite fits into what we're doing.
What do we need to say?
That we're using the ARP monies, and it's not an emergency. We're not tapping into that local government code.
Okay.
Just redo
So we're not. Yeah, I think there may be an amendment to the motion, but let's figure out what the language is first.
Yeah.
So it's not. We're not moving for an emergency discretionary exemption pursuant to local government code section 262.024. What authority do we have any necessary authority? It's just
No, because when I bring the budget amendment, it will be its own, me certifying those monies that are going to be pulled from that liability account that they're sitting in right now. So it's going to have its own discretionary exemption towards, it's going to be local government code 111.0413, I believe.
Commissioner
Is the certification.
I believe your motion is sufficient as stated. I don't think there's any necessity to amend that motion.
Because I think it's clear that it's ARP interest money.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And then we have that interest money, just,
And that's what it's for.
yeah.
Yes.
Just get them up and running.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Cantu, as well. for your
you.
insight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 12, approve order approving B County Road and Bridge Administrator Jesus Arredondo's bond.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 13, approve Texas opioid settlement agreements. We have no settlement agreements to approve. Moving on, agenda item number 14, Hurricane Harvey Texas General Land Office GLO Community Development Block Grant CDBG status and project update. Commissioners Farias or Olivares, any update?
No update from my end. You have nothing?
Yeah, it's been quiet.
No news is good news.
No news, good. Checks
Yes.
getting written right now.
Just a quick note, I heard this from Commissioner DeWitt when I first got on the board, and coming from the corporate world, I'm used to things happening a little bit faster, and things do move a little bit slow in government, so I'm painfully learning that process, but we will make it happen.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we're only 5 months into it. It was May 22nd when we submitted that. So,
5 years and 5 months.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Long
that's
period- long
that's
periods of
Franconia.
inaction.
yeah,
It
that's
is
like
like-
Magnolia was one, the 6-year one.
Proof's in the pudding.
It's gonna work.
Wildly fast movement. All right, then moving on, agenda item number 15, American Rescue Plan, ARP status and projects. Commissioners Linney, Commissioners DeWitt, and Commissioner DeWitt, any update?
Mr. Lenny, you have anything for us, sir? Your EOC?
We got those bids in the other day, so we're waiting to see which one we're gonna approve, and then go from there.
Excellent. That's very
How
exciting.
about Jail Squared? Because those have already been procured. Do we have a start date for his?
I talked to Domingo. He sent me some quotes on those RV pedestals that we were requesting, that you're talking about.
Because we have electrical.
So they got the lights fixed the other day on where the cook-off usually is. It ended up being something wrong in the box, so the lights all work except for one. He's going to replace that one light, so we'll get a refund on the lights that he'd already purchased. He's going to return those. And then the RV pedestals, he sent me a quote. The standard one that he was looking at was $1,900 a pedestal, and the stainless steel was $2,800 a pedestal, and you got 15 slots. And I was like, I don't think so. So I found the standard RV pedestal for like $370 that most parks use, and sent him a picture of that with the link. Said this is what we're wanting. So he was going to check on that. Once he gets that, then we can go forward. It's just that's too much to spend on per pedestal out there.
What's the other one that we had procured? Because he did electrical
Dump station?
dump station.
The dump station. And I think he still has the, they were tracking the lines and whatnot from the city out there.
That one will go pretty fast once they.
Yeah, once they get that, and yeah, that won't take long at all.
Was that it?
And-
Because we don't have, we didn't do, not
The,
restroom yet, or parking lot.
No, no.
That one's been.
We got him looking at the
Way
rock
back on.
facade in the front of the building, and whether it is the route to go, whether to repaint the existing tin on the expo or to replace it with new tin.
And I
He was
think
gonna
that's
look at the
CHOT.
difference on that, so.
I think they're doing CHOT on
We're
that.
using ARPA funds for that? or-
No, I think
or-
that's
or
CHOT.
TOP funds?
Yeah, I think those are CHOT.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Anything
And the
further?
time and water. Yeah. Y'all just did.
ARP just keeps giving and giving and giving, man. What a great program.
Yes.
All right, there's no action on agenda item number 15. Thank you for that update. Moving on, we do have an executive session item. Executive session. Public notice is given that the B County Commissioners Court may elect to go into executive session anytime during the meeting to discuss matters listed on the agenda pursuant to the authority granted under the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Immediately before any executive session, the specific section or sections of the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, that provides statutory authority will be announced. Upon completion of the executive session, the Commissioners Court may, in an open session, take such action as appropriate on items discussed in an executive session. Agenda item number 16, executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel, appointment of second multi-county court at law judge, open paren B, Live Oak, and McMullen counties. The time is 9:56 a.m. and it'll probably take us a few minutes. If any of the commissioners need to use the restroom or anything at that time, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, thank you all for your presence. I'm going to have to ask everybody to leave the room. When we come out of executive session, you're welcome to wait around. And when we come out, you're welcome to come back in. Before we get all right, the time is 10. Are we recording now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the time is 10:32 a.m. We're coming out of closed executive session. Let me steal this from you real quick. And we are on agenda item number 16. Are there any motions to be made?
Judge, I move to appoint Harvey Hardwick as the initial county court at law judge for the second multi-county court at law judge for B, Live Oak, and McMullen counties.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. And Mr. Hardwick, we are very excited for you. We hope the additional appointment process goes off without a hitch, and we all look forward to working with you in the future. Moving on to agenda item number 17, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for your time this morning.